All right, so this is actually the first recording I'm doing as a sort of a story time for anyone who is following the creation of the Veil's Edge book series. And this is from book one, Camaria's book. And it is one of the first, like the opening chapters or scenes in the book. But it's not the first one. And it's about Camaria's leaving the garden. So it's called Leaving the Garden. And in brackets, I have for now a lifetime ago. And so here I'll be setting the stage for what is to come, the catalyst for everything within the next 7 books in this scene. And it's the first time I'll be reading it to anyone, including myself, aloud. So let's see how it goes. Sit back and enjoy. All right, Leaving the Garden, a lifetime ago. What seems now, let's start again. What seems now to have been a lifetime ago, Camaria left the small house by the back door and entered the warm night air. She walked into the garden barefoot in her long white night shift, having been ushered outside by thoughts that would not let her sleep. Vale's Edge was a garden. Yes, a garden in the natural physical sense of plants, stalks, trees, shrubs, overgrown vegetable patches, and rambling groves of fruit trees. But this is not what is meant here. Well, at least not all of what is meant. Vale's Edge was a place where fertile soil incubated and nourished the seeds that were planted or planted themselves, where seedlings sprouted, where twisting roots burrowed deep and took hold for the mighty trees to branch out, to hold steady for the canopy to unfurl into the sky, where the sun fed its leaves, where the flowers bloomed, then bore fruit, which dropped the new seeds for the next generation, the next revolution to come and become. Each seed held the very promise of the inevitable and eternal cycle of new life within, and Camaria held one such seed in the palm of her hand as she sat on the large boulder in the center of the space, deep in contemplation. Vale's Edge was both the foliage and the labyrinthine paths that wound between what grew there. It was the rabbits who ate the leaves and the moles that nibbled at the roots. It was the humans who walked the paths, who gently picked and tended, who climbed and hiked and hid within the branches. The humans who wondered at the pink blossoms of the cherries. Let me do that again. The humans who wondered at the pink blossoms of the cherries every spring, ate the dripping red fruit in the summer, caught the leaves as they turned orange and gold, and sat beneath the boughs in the winter snow, both human and tree sleeping, conserving the energy they would expend come spring. There were storms, of course, and drought, but rain always fell when needed. The garden held everything one could ever want, both the sustenance and the answers to why this life, why life at all. But Camaria was in such a garden, the garden closest to the home she shared with her parents Kalea and Anahata, story keeper and heart mender of their community respectively, when she felt the first pull toward a new purpose, a purpose outside of this magical place that had nourished her from the moment she was born there, now a budding flower of 18. Camaria was confused by this desire, this tug, this cracking kernel of curiosity, because who would want to leave such a wondrous place as Vale's Edge? She could serve a great purpose here, receiving those who found the way from the Western realm, to mend and tend as she had been doing all her life, alongside Kilo, shadowing her parents, her uncles, her aunts, and Yara. She had heard of many far-off places from travelers, from envoys, from the new arrivals from the Western realm, from her own parents. Their accounts were sometimes fantastical, magical, unsettling, curious, and always, always intriguing. But she could never really understand them. The pain the Westerners expressed when they arrived made her earnest heart ache to help them, and to help them really would be to truly know. She had her visions, and the art that came with her skilled hands was immensely moving and healing for the observer, the people depicted, and she herself. The scenes she channeled through her sketches and paintings came to her without effort, as she was a natural seer. But her creations were still simply a very good imitation, a replica, not quite singing their songs. They were muffled, the colors muted somehow, and they were not her experiences. The flower painted would reflect the light just right, could even mesmerize anyone who looked upon it, immerse them in the display, but it was never the flower itself. Yes, she was a seer, a dreamscape artist, but she also felt the calling of the envoy, the call to see the other worlds. Tonight, she decided she would answer. This garden had no walls. It was, in fact, wild and limitless, with its secrets quietly awaiting discovery as the blossom within the bud. It was not a place for protection, but for possibility. And the Western realm was the lidded box. And who would want to go inside when they were already free? Yet, Camaria wanted to know more about what she already felt. And so she peered through the keyhole at what or who was locked inside. Most envoys felt the calling around this age, so Camaria was no different. Aside from the fact that she didn't expect to be called, and not to the Western realm in any case. Her parents were well-traveled envoys themselves, but of the Eastern realm, and even as far as the Deep East. They had visited and extracted other envoys from the Western realm inside the veil, but had never lived there, both intending to remain pure of heart and clear of purpose in order to receive and steward from a vibration of resonance and harmony. So they stayed in the upper octave, tuned and turned the dials, transmitting, reharmonizing, calling others to join them there where they would be received. Kalea and Anahata's was an integral purpose, perhaps the most integral for the sake of humanity's great awakening, for the next turning of the Dharma, but it was, to Camaria's surprise, not her own. She knew that in entering the Western realm, she would to some degree forget herself, but she trusted that her family in Vale's Edge would hold space for her, and when she came back, they would assist her in remembering. I'm going to read that line again. But she trusted that her family in Vale's Edge would hold space for her, and when she came back, they would assist in her remembering. The thought sent a shock of emotion through her that she couldn't quite define or label. Perhaps this is what the Westerners called fear, what Kalea might call intrigue, what Anahata might call expansion. Regardless, she thought, all would lead to revelation. So Camaria decided right there, as she sat barefoot on the rock with her toes in the dirt, that she would train as an envoy. She would leave the womb of this matrix to step those very toes into the matrix inside the veil. It would not be the mother she had always known, and for once she would not be the wanted child of the land she would walk, each path leading to the mother's soft and waiting lap. She would be the foreign envoy, injecting herself into another world, asking to be received without knowing if she would, come to smear new colors onto her neat and tidy palette. And with that thought, she rose from the rock and carefully planted the seed. What would the Western realm rend from her? What colors would these be, she wondered, as she padded back toward the softly sleeping